I wish there was more information about it because there's some amazing talent out there that could just be incredible with this job, but they just haven't discovered it yet.
Hey everyone, this is Prashant and I'll be your host for the VC 10X podcast. And today we have Allie Mullen with us. Allie is the director of platform at Wireframe Ventures. In this episode, we talk about the platform role in VC. What is platform? How it works? How it differs across different firms? Who is the best fit for the platform role? How to get in? And so much more. So without wasting any time, let's dive straight in. Hey, Ali, so good to have you on the VC 10X podcast. How are you doing?
Doing well, Prashant. How are you?
I'm doing great as well, and pleasure having you on and talk about all things platform, which is something that we haven't covered a lot in the podcast before. So I'm excited. But to start things off, can we first have a bit of your background and your story and what you're doing currently?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am currently the director of platform at Wireframe Ventures. We are a pre-seed seed stage fund focused on the health of people and planet. Wireframe is a thematic fund, not a sector fund. So we make a wide range of investments across climate tech, digital healthcare, virtual health, biotech, and increasingly the intersection between all of those. And I was brought on about a year ago to be the first ever platform hire for Wireframe and the only non-investor on the team. So I've been building platform from the ground up. And we can dive into that a bit more in a little bit. But I got my career start mostly focused as an early operator at a bunch of different startups, mostly have worked at startups focused on women's empowerment, driving equity, something that is really important to me, and a lot of women's focused communities. So I was employee number one at a community called Ladies Get Paid, which teaches women to negotiate and be successful at work. And before pivoting into VC was at a nonprofit called Digital Undivided, which focuses on empowering Latina and Black women founders, which are the most underfunded and underserved founders. So that is where I found my love for working closely with founders, working as an operator and building within startups. But my first job was in a big ad agency in New York doing business development. So pitching to bring on new clients to the agency portfolio, had a front row seat to working super closely with global leadership at a very early age. But I burned out. I did that for about 2.5 years and also had a bit of a millennial moment, hit 2016, and just felt very called to do something a bit more impactful. I was getting sick after every pitch that we did, and I just wanted to pivot. And so once I kind of went deep into startups and was thinking about what was next for me, I was listening to a lot of How I Built This and watching Shark Tank and getting excited about founders and the early side of building startups. And so that is when I pivoted. And after spending many years as an operator builder, I discovered platform, which led me to Wireframe.
Yeah, that's an incredible story. And while you're at working in a platform role, you're also like actively, creating content around it because it isn't as talked about as a role. Because like we see, like more of the focus is obviously on investing, but I think there is good amount of insights and learning that can happen in the platform role as well. So happy to have
Yeah.
you on to like focus on that, but to like give us a head start into diving into platform, can we start with the basic question: what is platform?
Great question. And platform is kind of a catch-all term in VC. It can mean different things at different firms. And but what it really is in this role, it's typically a non-investor role, although there are some platform folks who do both sides of the table. But you're an operator for the firm and work really closely with the portfolio companies. But under the umbrella of platform, it is a catch-all for all things that can include, but for some roles, it might not include all of these things, but marketing, investor relations, HR and recruiting, operations, community, business development and portfolio support, and some also focus on finance and compliance and things like that. So it's a lot, and that's why typically a lot of platform folks come from the startup operator side, usually are generalists and like to do a lot of these different roles. At smaller VC firms, it's usually a very small platform team, typically a team of one, like me. And within that, it is a more generalized role. So you're overseeing all of those things that I've listed. At larger firms, there are typically larger platform teams, and the platform role is more specialized. Your title might not be platform, it could be community, it could be you could be a full-time recruiter sitting on the platform team. It could be a go-to-market specialist. So the when you're talking to other platform people and learning more about the role, it is very interesting because there is not a lot of information out there, but at the same time, the role can differ so much depending on the size of the fund, what they're prioritizing. But there are a lot of platform teams of one or small platform teams that oversee a lot of those things. So, platform in essence is a non investor role at a VC fund and works with the fund to get the portfolio founders to the next stage, whatever that may be, and also make the firm run more efficiently.
Absolutely. So if anyone is working into platform but is not investing, then they are essentially into platform, right? Not investing
Yeah,
is platform, right? Got it. That's a pretty easy way to put it. And you mentioned that you are the only person that's handling platform at Wireframe, right? It's a one woman show there. So
yeah,
and I believe it can get hectic. You mentioned that there is marketing in that, there is portfolio support in that, there is operations in that. So can you
yeah.
give us an insight into what a day at work looks like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I hate such the classic kind of bailout answer to this of like every day is different, but it really is the case. I'll answer of like what a week looks like or what my past week has looked like, which will give kind of a good breadth of all the things that I'm currently working on. So right now I'm planning three different events. We're going to be doing a happy hour in San Francisco. We're going to be doing an event at Climate Week in New York in September. We're going, and also our annual general meeting reception for our LPs and founders. We weekly meet with the investment team and share different platform updates and align on goals, make sure things are continually moving. I work with service providers and connect them with our founders or share opportunities for them to connect and learn more. Different recruiters, go to market specialists, or even software providers like AWS and Google Cloud and things like that. I've been meeting with some of our portfolio companies and founders and helping them work through a few things that they're working on. Again, we invest very early stage, so it's kind of that 0 to 1 building. So I've been building this online portal for our founders to access, and in building that, there's a lot of things that exist and a lot of things that I'm continuing to build out as new requests come through from our founders. So I've been building some new resources this week, such as one of our portfolio companies is building their first parental leave policy and doesn't know where to start. One other portfolio company was assessing what are the pros and cons of hiring someone internationally as a US based company. So I connected, got some answers to that, shared that with them, and connected them with some other experts. I cleaned up our team's CRM to see how we can work more efficiently and keep the data all cleaned up. There's so much conversation around platform teams. I feel like I see in the Slack channel communities every day of people asking what's the best CRM? What should I be using? And there really is no best CRM. It's the best one is the one that the team actually uses. So just trying to make sure that that's all cleaned up. I've been posting some social posts from the Wireframe account celebrating some of our portfolio wins of new fundraisers, new partnerships, or new hires that they've brought on. had a dinner with some other amazing platform leaders. It's great to connect with other folks and just on a personal level, but also swapping thoughts and talking through different things that we've been facing. I watched an Airtable webinar from my whole year of being in platform. I've learned essentially become an Airtable expert, and now I'm obsessed. And learning more about their interfaces option, which I haven't gotten into quite yet, but got to stay sharp and continue the education. Every morning I start with reading industry news, new investments, things that are going on across VC, but also globally, just sourcing some relevant content and news to share within our portfolio community Slack to drive engagement and conversation, and making sure they're up to date on everything. Um, I also internally within platform, started this little very casual Zoom meetup called Platform VC School. I am very lucky within the platform role to get a front row seat to our investment process. We have a monthly portfolio review call that I sit on along with the investing team, where we assess how our portfolio is doing financially and where they might need help or what kind of the updates are there, who's doing great, and how I can, help on the platform side. But there really is no official onboarding of VC math and investment strategy from the platform side of things. Most folks get into VC as investors, and they're managing deal flow day to day. But I started sitting on these calls, which are so fascinating and interesting. But there is such a learning curve getting into platform and getting into VC, of not knowing all the details of VC math and the different acronyms that the investors are throwing around so quickly. And so I started a very casual meetup over Zoom because I was talking to other platform folks, and everyone else seemed to have this same sentiment of not feeling super comfortable asking questions and wanting to learn more about the investment process and how we assess how portfolio companies are doing and what certain metrics are needed to hit. So I've brought in different investors to come be speakers, and like a very casual Zoom session of just no question is a stupid question. And we're all collectively learning as platform people the VC math side of things. So I planned the next one for that and then recorded this podcast with you. So that's what this week has looked like for me. Just as you can see, very all over the board, getting to do a lot of different things.
Are you sure you did all of that in 1 week?
Yeah, I am sure. I was thinking about it before this podcast, and I was kind of writing everything down, and then I was like, whoa, I've done a lot this week.
All right, we have a superhuman on the podcast today. uh,
All platform people really are superhumans, but that's what
yeah,
makes
yeah,
it
like
great, is getting to every day is so different.
yeah, like sounded more like a month in review to me, but that's pretty awesome. And like you mentioned that about the value add process, that you're helping your portfolio companies with a bunch of things they're trying to figure out. So I was thinking, like, how are you getting to know what they need? Is that like an active process that you run, that you're asking your portfolio companies on a regular basis that what are you kind of figuring out, what can we help you with? Is that how it works, or are these founders reaching out to you and telling you that this is what we're trying to figure out, can you help, right? So how does that work?
It's a few different ways. So one, since joining the firm, I've built this internal Slack community for the founders, a place where they can not only have a direct access to our team and vice versa, but also for them to chat with each other and learn from each other. So that is a place where a lot of questions come up, where founders are asking about building a parental leave policy for the first time, and other things like that. Also, I onboard our new investments. And so that is kind of the first time I come into the process and get to virtually meet them and share all about what the Wireframe platform offering is, how I can support their teams. And so that is kind of the first key piece of them realizing here's how Allie can help, in addition to the investment team, for day-to-day 0 to 1 building. And then just some other questions that potentially come up talking with the investment team, things that they're potentially hearing. And also, while building this portal, the team has been reflective of what are the most common questions that founders are asking the investors. And let's just spend 30 minutes and write it down and work together on building a resource. So that buys back the investors time of having a great resource and advice instead of them having to say the same thing over and over again. So those are some great ways that the platform team really creates more inefficiency and makes it, or more efficiency and makes it better for the founders.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing I want to talk about is like I got a good sense of how you're running platform at Wireframe, which is like even though it's just a one person team, there is still a lot of work getting done there. But
Yeah,
I believe like it would look different from firm to firm. So if you have an
yeah.
insight into that, how can platform can differ from different firms to firm? Like maybe it's an early stage firm and new fund, it is different, and then it's like a multi $100 million fund, then the platform role will be different. So can you like tell us more about that?
Totally. It really does differ from firm to firm. Usually early stage, there is a lot of need for platform support, that 0 to 1, building your business from the ground up. At the later stages that firms invest, their platform evolves and looks a lot differently because a lot of founders at later stages, they have different metrics and how they're continuing to grow. So just platform can look so different depending on the size of the fund. And then also, as I mentioned, um, whether you're on a small team or a large team, you could be totally specialized sitting under the platform umbrella, and have a very different day to day than or week to week than how I described. So what I kind of tell people when I meet with them, folks who are interested in platform, one, how generalized versus specialized are you looking? What excites you? Do you like wearing many hats? Do you like getting to do all the things? If yes, I would encourage them to go look at a smaller fund. If they really are just an expert in their field and any of the areas that I mentioned, then it's better to be part of a larger platform team and you get to work really closely with founders or whatever it may be, um, in those specific specialized areas. Also, the fund's themes. Are you excited about them? Are you passionate about them? Um, and the stage. So really, as you are evaluating getting into platform, it's important to kind of look at all of those factors to find where you can be most efficient and successful in the role.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned about like getting into the platform role. So can you talk us into the story of how you got into platform? Was it like a deliberate switch? Because at that point it was a pivot to a different kind of industry. So was it like
Yeah.
deliberate from your point that, okay, I want to like get into VC and in the platform role? Or was it like an opportunity presented itself and you were like, okay, like let's do this? How did that play out?
Yeah. I had discovered platform, I think through different people posting on LinkedIn, different people who were platform leaders at different firms. And I was wondering what even is this, and I started reading about it. There were a few interviews or a podcast or something, and then I started following jobs and reading job description, and that was super helpful as well. Essentially, I discovered it and pursued it, because I felt that it brought together everything that I love, everything that I'm great at. Um, in the past, I've worked at different startups and I've really enjoyed that. And in my last role, I got to work closer with founders and realized that was a piece that I wanted to do a lot more of. And so this role really brought everything together and was really exciting for me. It's really interesting because when I chat with other platform people or when I hear other folks answer this question, everyone always says, when I discovered platform. Like it is a discovery experience because it's still so new, it's still evolving, and it's less known in the industry, but it's grown so much. And so the folks who are in this skill set and love this, it's a very specific group of people, and we all get along so well because we're all super type A and love startups and work really fast and like to do a lot of different things. um but it's interesting. So I pursued it and essentially was looking at a bunch of different firms. I actually during the recruiting process, pro tip, I added the word platform to my previous role on LinkedIn. So that helped with my LinkedIn SEO, and Lily from the Wireframe team actually reached out to me, and that's how I started talking to the team, um, and was brought on. So yeah.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. And do you have any tips, or you just gave out one pro tip, like optimize your LinkedIn so that people who are looking for you can find you. But any other like tips for folks who are looking to get into platform?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best, a few things. One, I definitely encourage folks to read different job descriptions. You can see how the red threads of the things that are similar, and then see how things are really different firm to firm and figure out where you would be best. I think chatting with other platform leaders and getting a better insight into what the day to day is like, and how they can highlight their skills. Almost everyone, pretty much everyone I know in platform pivoted into it. And so I think there's a misconception that you need to have all of this VC experience. You don't. You're bringing in a totally different skill set than the investors. And so being in, typically a lot of folks are operators at startups, work in programs like a Techstars or accelerator type programs. Um, and or they're really great specialists at those different things that I mentioned. I think the number one thing is to share your experience and exposure with founders, and it could be with your day-to-day job, it could be something outside of your day-to-day job, a side hustle and something that you're just passionate about. I know platform leaders who were previously elementary school teachers, someone who studied to be a veterinary doctor, someone who was previously in the army. So I love hearing everyone's path to platform being so different. And I think for an industry that is so known to be kind of hard to get into, platform is such an amazing entryway into the non-traditional investor need to have gone and gotten MBA. You're bringing something else to the firm with your skills and operational type background. But one commonality is empathy for founders and the founder experience, because it really is so hard. So if someone is interested and hasn't really worked with founders, I would encourage them to do that. But definitely connect with other platform leaders and learn from them of their different experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice there. Uh, and like, are there any things that people would be surprised to know about platform?
Yeah, there are a few. There are some things that have surprised me, but also from talking to so many folks who are interested, there are some, I see different light bulb moments from folks when I kind of share some things. One, I think my biggest adjustment or thing when I first started, coming from startups that were just, you know, going all the time, was the pace. The pace of VC is a little bit slower, and also joining such a small team. I came from a company where the Slack was going all day, and then things were super quiet. And I was like, "Is everyone okay?" So the pace is different from at least startups. But I think another major misconception is that a lot of folks are really excited to advise portfolio founders, or like, I love working with founders, and that can be part of the role, but most founders take money from a certain VC fund because of the investors, because of the GPs that they're working with. Those are the folks who are sitting on the board. Those are the ones who are one call away and are working closely with founders, especially at the early stages. And so I think that is a misconception that platform is all about like you are the advisor to the portfolio founders. And that is not the case. There is a lot more to the role. There's a lot that you can be doing with founders, but that's not the sole part of the role. Um, I also mentioned, I think another misconception is people thinking they needed to have worked in VC before. There's actually a recent report that just came out from the VC platform community, kind of like the main place where all the platform folks are part of. They just did this whole survey. I thought platform had only been around for a couple of years, but actually the first platform folks started in 2000. So they did this whole report for the last decade, and now this role, there are twice as many VC firms that have platform teams. It's doubled in the last decade, and they have all these amazing stats on how VC firms are performing so much better with platform teams versus not. Impacts on net IRR and TVPI, and so there are some really tangible results on how platform is actually helping the founders in the portfolio perform better and getting the firm higher returns. So misconception of just, platform is continuing to evolve. It's still new. And yeah, so that's another amazing piece to the role.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for sharing that. That's pretty interesting. And I believe that's also kind of obvious in hindsight that of course, like you need to help your portfolio win in some way, and then they're going to win. Like if you bet on a winner that's already winning, that's great. But that doesn't say much about you as an investor. If you're
Yeah,
investing and then you're also helping them succeed, then that's also your win because you're also like contributing to that journey, right?
yeah,
Uh, so that's great. And like most people like obviously like investor role is obviously more popular, and that's what most people like sought for, that they want to
yeah.
get on the investor side of things. But I think there is a lot of learning that can happen even on the platform side. So
Yeah.
can you give us an insight into how can a platform role help an individual grow as an individual and the kind of things they will get to learn from it?
There are so many learnings, even more than I even anticipated getting into the role. As you mentioned, you're not an investor, but you do have a front row seat to the inside of VC, how it works, the investing process, the entire process from start to finish. Some platform leaders are very involved in diligence and sourcing, even talking to the founders throughout, the different calls and seeing if they're going to invest or not. It very much depends on the firm, but either way, you have a front row seat to the inside of VC, and it's another entry point in. So there's so much learning, so many resources once you're kind of on the inside. And so that's been such a huge learning piece for me. I'm just constantly learning. I think getting to work closely with founders and seeing that 0 to 1 and championing them through that process. But also, I think the platform role, it really is what you make it. You could be uh you know, someone that executes events and presses send on a few tweets, and there are a lot of things that you execute. But really, this role is still new and evolving, and we don't know what the future of platform looks like. The industry of VC is constantly changing and evolving, and so um, it really is what you make it, and you can constantly be learning and trying new things and seeing what sticks, and that could pave an entirely new role or opportunity for the firm or what the future platform looks like. So I love connecting and meeting with other platform leaders and hearing about the things that they're doing, thinking creatively of how to solve the firm's the things that they're prioritizing. Um, and it's really an amazing opportunity to continue to learn every single day from the founders, from the investors, from other platform leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe some future Ellies are like right now listening to this podcast and discovering platform, as you put it, and will be working in the role in future. So, do you have any resources that you would like to recommend to them that can be helpful in helping them like learn more about this role and how to get into this space?
Yeah. I mean, as you mentioned, there really aren't a lot of resources out there, which I hope changes. I hope things like this podcast is helpful for folks out there. Um, but there's so much resource information opportunity once you're kind of on the inside. There are multiple communities that you can join and be part of and connect with other folks. But from the outside looking in, it can be feel like there's not a lot out there. But VC platform community I mentioned, they do have a lot of publicly available information. They have this member directory open and available online of every person that's part of VC platform community, their bio, where they work. You can filter different things of like the size of the fund, where they're located. So I actually used that while I was job searching and reading more about different folks at different funds. And also, it really helps if you're trying to meet other platform leaders, hear more about their experience. If you realize you want to be part of an early stage fund that's located in New York, a platform team of one, you can find that through the different search filters and reach out and get a coffee or a Zoom chat or something like that. They also have a bunch of different research reports on compensation. So when you're like negotiating and you can know what everyone is being paid, if they're getting carry and what that looks like. So that's super helpful. Um, Not so shameless plug, but I've been tracking the different jobs available within platform for about the last year. I started posting Twitter threads of everything I was seeing because there really wasn't one place where I saw all of the jobs being posted. So I just started doing a Twitter thread and then recently launched the newsletter version of that. So that's called So You Want to Work in Platform. And it's the link is so you want to work in platform.beehive.com. So if anyone's interested in the jobs being posted, I post that weekly. But yeah, I think those are kind of the main pieces. And then there's some content out there, some written pieces about what platform looks like, a few podcasts, but I hope to be part of, next generation of platform leaders who are sharing the information of what it's like on the inside, how to break in, and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And I'll try to put the link to your newsletter in the show notes below so that our listeners
Awesome.
can get there easily. And like coming to my last question, and this one is about what is one thing that you'd like to change about platform?
I think I kind of answered it in the last one. I wish there was more information about it because there's some amazing talent out there that could just be incredible with this job, but they just haven't discovered it yet. And it really is. I love this job and I love the opportunity to work in VC, but also getting to flex my greatest strengths of being a generalist and working with founders and thinking creatively to solve different problems or reach our firm's goals. And so yeah, I think I would love to see more information, more content about the role out there. Um, yeah, that would be my biggest thing.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And now coming to the close, can we have like your socials so that our listeners can like go and follow you there? And where can our listeners learn more about Wireframe and what you guys are investing in?
So you can read more and learn more about Wireframe at wireframevc.com. There's a lot of information about our firm, who we invest in, but also if you're a founder listening to this, we have a submission form and our team reads all of the submissions of founders trying to get in touch with our team and pitch us. So that is great. Also follow Wireframe on social at wireframevc. And then myself, I'm at Allie M on Twitter and Threads, which I have not posted yet. We'll keep an eye on Threads, but that's me. And then on LinkedIn, Allie Mullen, linkedin.com/in/Allie Mullen. So that's me.
All right, awesome. And I'll put all those links in the show notes below. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast, Ellie, and enlightening us all on what platform is and how can those aspiring to get in platform. Thanks for coming on, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Prashant. It's an honor to be the first platform guest of VC 10X, and hope this was helpful for the folks listening.
Absolutely. Thank you.